Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Living with S. I'm Sharon Mundia, and today's show is all about gowns, wedding gowns, bridal gowns, and 'tis the season for a lot of weddings. And by now, if you are getting married this season, you've probably figured out what you're wearing on your big day. If not, hopefully by the end of this, you'll have booked a session with my guest today. But if you have just recently been engaged and you're trying to figure out what your big day needs to look like, then this show is going to meet and answer every one of your questions, because I've got the it lady, the it woman in this town when it comes to wedding gowns. I know it. I know a number of people who've come to her. My own family members have come to her for dresses before. Her name is Ogake Mosomi, and she is the woman behind Ogake Bridal, which is a luxury wedding gown brand. You're a luxury wedding gown brand, right?
Yes.
How are you doing today, Ogake?
I'm well. Thank you for coming.
Oh, no, it's such a pleasure. It feels so good to be back, and everything looks like it's been vamped up. I don't remember seeing all these accessories last time.
Oh, yeah, true. This have been here, I think, in the past year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've been working on things, trying to make sure that things elevate. But I'm curious to know, because in as much as I know we've, met a few times, I don't know if I really know your backstory. And I'm not sure if people, at least on this show, are aware of how you started out and how you got off to be where you are today as one of the, renowned luxury wedding gown designers in the city, in the country, actually. So where did this all begin?
I actually studied fashion design, fashion product innovation in university. I always wanted to get into fashion, but not necessarily bridal wear. So when I came back and started my brand, I didn't really know which way I wanted to go. But with time, I realized lots of people were asking about wedding gowns who couldn't find the sort of gown they needed for their body type or something that spoke to their personality. So we started doing gowns here and there, and with time I realized that it's what I really enjoyed. So I decided to specialize in that was 2015. 2015.
Yeah.
And by 2017, we had sort of phased out everything else and we're doing purely bridal gowns.
Yeah. Where did you study?
I studied in the UK, an institution called University for the Creative Arts in Rochester.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
And when you came back, what was the industry like then, especially when it comes to not just fashion in general, but like wedding gowns and the number of designers available?
I remember one of my good friends got married the year I came back, and there was a shop then, I think somewhere on Chaka Road, Chaka Place. There was a shop then which I think everybody went to, because actually two of my friends in a series of about 4 years bought their dresses from there. And at that point, I didn't really know of many people making custom-made gowns. Most people would walk into a store and buy dresses which had been imported or order something which would then be brought in their size. And yeah, so it was, in terms of the fashion industry as well, there were actually, growing up, I think I knew like 2 Kenyan fashion designers. I knew Anne McCree and I knew of Patricia Mbella later on, and then La Casa, I forget her name, Carol Kinoti. So I didn't really know so many people, and for me, people tailoring clothes or making designer dresses was that one-off special occasion thing. So when I came back, it was still pretty new.
Right.
It was an industry, but I don't feel like lots of people were doing it as a designer thing. It was more like I'm getting something tailored. And I think there's a difference between those two, because I feel like the design part goes a step further than what your tailor would do for you. And yeah, so it was kind of frightening, but I think I've seen it change in the past. Now this is almost 10 years. I've seen it change quite a bit, and the attitudes.
10 years?
Almost.
It's, that you've been not as a wedding gown designer.
No.
As
a fashion designer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've seen people's attitudes change quite a lot, and I think now there's that pride of made in Kenya, and there's so many designers out there doing amazing things, not only within but even crossing the borders. So yeah, there's been a massive change from when I started to now.
Yeah, and respect too.
Oh,
Instead
yeah,
of going
absolutely.
like, this is an Ogake
Yes,
piece. Are
yes,
you kidding? This
yeah.
is like you're wearing it as a badge of honor.
Yeah, that actually surprises me.
Really?
Yeah, it does.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, I still know of people who would, like in their closet, they have a space for like, this is a gown that I had designed, or even a dress. It doesn't even have to be like a fancy gown. And they have like their specific designers that they feel very proud to have in their closets. So back in 2015, when you decide to start on Ogake Bridals, so what was the perception then, and what challenges did you face trying to carve out this different niche for your brand?
So initially, actually what we did, and I think I've told this story before, I had designed a collection, didn't have money to produce it, and through a connection from Anne McCreeve, Unilever was relaunching one of their sub brands, and I got to showcase that. And people loved the collection. It was featured on magazines, blah, blah, blah. But it was more, Then now in 2015, we decided to do Samantha Bridal for the first time.
Okay.
Samantha Bridal is the big wedding expo. Yeah. So we went there and guys were like, oh yeah, so what you guys are doing is amazing. But it was more curiosity and appreciation for it on the catwalk, but not so many orders. I remember there's one girl who came and told me, oh my God, I've been looking for you all my life. And she was one of my very first clients, because she saw it and she was like, I've been all around town, I can't find exactly what I want, and this is it. So initially I felt like we were trying to convince people that yes, you can get something made locally and it will be just as good as or better than buying something off the rack. Right. And it will have more to do with you. And then, like with time, I think that has changed now, and there are actually more designers doing bridal wear, and I think people's perception is like they're more receptive to the locally made wedding gown.
Right, you're right, because I think even for me, I do remember at least 5, even 10 years ago, maybe even 5, I'd have been like, oh, a local designer, and then all of a sudden you started seeing like these beautiful pictures of brides, and then them saying like it was made in Kenya. Like, wait a second. You mean you don't have to try and like walk into a store or leave the country to buy a beautiful gown? And so is the model like more bespoke, made to order gowns, or do you have ready to wear pieces available?
So initially, we really wanted to stick with the bespoke model, because the reason why we got into it in the first place is that people couldn't find exactly what they wanted. And when it comes to a wedding gown, it's something so personal, so it needs to speak to who you really are. It's those, you'll have a million photos taken of you in this dress. It's a lifetime, it's that experience that you need to really, really define you. So initially we started out doing a bespoke model. We're still doing the custom model, like 90% of the stuff that we do is bespoke. But we started we're sort of experimenting with the idea of a sub-brand which is ready to wear. What we found though is people know us for custom, so they want custom. They're not as excited about the ready to wear, because of course that limits you. It means that you take the dress as it is. So we're still trying to see if it's a viable model for us or not. Yeah.
How much on average would your pieces range?
Most of our dresses are between about 140,000 to 200,000. We have some which go below that, and we have some which go above that. But we found that most of our clientele are comfortable to spend, about 140 to 200.
Yeah. Which might seem high, but I think if you can, if it's within your budget, I mean, why not just like splurge and make yourself feel like it's the one time in your life, or hopefully one time in your life, where you get to just absolutely indulge and create something that is a true masterpiece.
That's true.
And I think I think that your pieces are clearly that masterpieces. Do you also create bridesmaids dresses, or is that
No,
okay.
we used to, not anymore. But again, it's something that we're looking at doing, maybe in a different model from possibly next year. But at the moment, no.
I think
Yeah.
it's worth looking into because I mean we've all seen the memes of like
Yeah.
the beautiful bride, and then next to her you're just like, oh, what happened to the bridesmaids?
Yeah.
So I think that would be worth looking into. What would you say was the turning point for your brand? The moment where you thought, okay, things have changed. I think we're onto something here.
I wouldn't say it's a moment per se, but it's just with time we found that we were able to survive without doing all the other things. Because initially we were doing like so many different bits and pieces. We were working with corporate, like we were doing some corporate uniforms. We were doing individual pieces. We were doing wedding dresses, but it got really tiring. So one by one we phased out those things, and we realized, you know what, we're still able to, keep up with our responsibilities. We're not, we can pay our bills. People love coming to us. People enjoy the experience with us. And I think there's that fulfillment you get when you're not rushing to just churn out things to make money, but you're actually making somebody happy. So with time, like just slowly we realized, okay, this is a thing. We can be creative with it. We can see what else we can do within this space without breaking our backs. But bridal is worth it. So I think that was around maybe 2017. Because 2015 was sort of like experimentation year. 2016 was starting to phase out the other things. 2017 is when we were like, okay, you know what? This is all we're doing. Yeah. Take it or leave it. Yeah, so let's get creative within this space.
Right,
yeah.
right. Now, we haven't touched on this, but you are also a lecturer at Nairobi University.
Yes,
I think I've come to one of your sessions.
Oh, yeah,
Didn't
you
I?
have.
And I came with, I think, Victor?
Yes,
or something
yes,
like
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
I think you did a class with them on styling, like
Right.
a styling shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Was that something that you had also projected or you had envisioned for yourself?
Not really. My parents had envisioned it for me, definitely. So what happened is when I came back, they were like, oh yeah, it's really nice that you have this creative thing going on. But the reality of Kenya is by the time a business picks up, it might take a while. So why not? Because you already have a master's, because this is what you're doing is different and kind of new in the market. Why don't you get into teaching? Because then that will support the other side. And then teaching is also, it's not so intense that you can't run your business on the side. You can do them side by side. So yeah, when I came back, of course, who doesn't want job security?
Yeah.
I went into it and then realized that I really loved it. So here I am, almost 9 years later.
Yeah.
I haven't left and I probably won't leave.
Anytime soon.
No.
What have you witnessed in the kind of students that are coming into this space, whether it is the kind of art that they want to put out there in the form of clothing, or the questions or their frustrations? Have you noticed any differences in the 9 years that you've been teaching?
Yeah, so the students, of course, they're extremely creative. They challenge you. They have new ideas. They want to experiment. In terms of their frustrations, there isn't as much investment as we'd hope in creative education. So they're limited on the resources. So there are very many things they'd like to do which maybe they cannot achieve because of the limitations. But despite that, something I've realized about students is, one, they're resilient, and two, they're very, what's the word? Like they find solutions to things, very creative solutions to things. So you can't bottle in their creativity. And I'm really proud of all the students who've passed through, especially like my fashion course, because they're out there doing such a wide variety of things. Some have started their own businesses in fashion, others have gone into teaching, others have gone into jewelry making. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience, and the students are like, they're hungry to learn. So for me, as a trainer, teacher, lecturer, it's just to also be open to giving them other ideas of how they can get that information, which maybe they cannot get at the institutions. Because the good thing is there are very many opportunities out there. There are internships available. There are companies that are willing to train you. So yeah, it's also trying to get that information and help the students get. Yes, yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So I know I want us to get into the conversation of like actually finding the perfect gown, the do's and the don'ts. But we've got to take a break. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We are at Ogake Mosomi's studio, which is in Kilimani. She is a luxury wedding gown designer and an educator. But for this segment, we're diving deep into all the tips that she could possibly give us when it comes to finding the perfect gown. And just like helping brides navigate this space. Because it can feel like you just have no idea where to start, despite... I don't know if it's for you, but I imagine that there's a good number of girls out there who envision their wedding day in the kind of gown, and then you get proposed to and you're like, where do I start? It's too much. Yeah. So where should one start? Where would you say is a good starting point for a bride?
For looking for her gown?
Yeah.
I think, because there's so much information out there, a good place to start is just to do research, taking into consideration, of course, research knowing this is who I am. I'm a very flamboyant kind of person, so I want a flamboyant gown, or I'm a very toned down person, so I need a very simple
and classic.
Exactly. So I think the first thing is to do research. There's more than enough information available online. There's stores you can visit, try out dresses, figure out what shape works best for you. That's another thing that I feel like sometimes we are we're not realistic about how we look. Maybe in our heads we look like, I don't know,
Beyonce,
you know,
and then in reality it's not Beyonce.
So much. Yeah. So another thing to do is just make sure you go and try out many different kinds of gowns. Don't set your mind on something. So try out a ball gown, try out an A-line gown, try out a mermaid gown.
Yeah.
Know that this is the sort of style that I'm looking for. Then you can also consult with the people close to you, not too many, because everybody has a different opinion. And the thing about this is everybody sees you. You know, the way you see yourself and the way your friends see you and the way your family sees you is totally different. So it's good to take their input, especially your family, because they might have specific, there might be things which you need to do not to offend them. Make sure that your dress is maybe not too revealing if your grandparents are going to be there, you know, things like that. So definitely consult them, but also just stay true to yourself. Create a mood board. Keep, if you're that sort of person, keep a folder, or you can even just have a Pinterest board, you know. Yeah, but let it all be like very realistic with your budget as well. So if you're pinning Galiela have gowns, but you can't really, so start asking yourself, what am I willing to compromise on? Because at the end of the day, it's not how flamboyant a gown is or how embellished it is. The most important thing is that the dress fits you perfectly and it's right for you, you yourself.
And it makes you feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
So when a bride is coming to you, what do you want them to come in here with, whether it's actually bringing stuff with, you know, or what kind of expectations do you have? Well, I know for starters, you have it's appointment. It's by appointment. So, but when they come in, should they be, you know, with their shoes? Should they have figured out their color scheme? What do you look for as a designer?
Well, it helps when you have an idea of what you want. If you have some images, or you have an idea of these are the things I like and these are the things I don't like. That's a starting point, because also we have a very short time to get to know you, to create a gown for you. So sometimes it can be a bit tricky if we don't know each other socially, for me to come up with a gown for you out of the blue. It might not represent you. I might look at you and say, she's curvy, so I'm going to make her like a fit and flare gown. But it's not enough. So we need to have a conversation, so it helps for you to have that information of what works for you. Some images will help. Knowing your venue also helps, because that
Oh.
also affects
Right.
some things. So if you're having a beach wedding, of course,
Yeah.
we wouldn't want to do a satin ball gown. It
Yeah.
wouldn't make any sense.
Or if you're going up to, I don't know,
Mount Kenya.
like somewhere.
You might need a
yeah,
fur
exactly.
cape, you know.
Yeah.
If you're having a garden wedding, you don't want a very long train because people will step on it. If you're having a very big wedding, you know, there's things to think about. If you're having an indoor wedding, a night wedding, a day wedding, so you don't have to have all this information, but it helps if you do, because it helps us to shape the ideas that are going to feed into the concept of your dress. Aside from that, then also it's good to know what your budget is, because you don't want to start this process and have your ideas sort of like trampled on after you've given us all these amazing ideas, and we tell you, oh no, that's not possible. So it's good to have an idea of what your budget is, so that from the get-go we look at options which are, you know, right for you.
Yeah.
What else do you need to know? Yeah, that's it.
How long does it take from start to finish when it comes to creating a wedding dress?
So a comfortable amount of time is 6 months.
Okay.
But we make gowns even within a month or two,
Yeah.
depending on the season.
Yeah.
The actual time it takes, like if you were to do it like start to finish all in one,
Yeah.
is about 4 to 8 weeks,
Okay.
depending on the complexity of the dress, sometimes more, sometimes less.
Yeah.
But for you not to be stressed, for us not to be stressed, and then also taking into consideration the seasons, it's a good idea to work with about 3 to 6 months. Yeah.
Right. Does the time of year matter when it comes to finding the right dress, or are we not really seasonal in that sense here?
Practically, yes, it matters, because the right dress. So if you want to get married in December or January in Kenya, it's going to be really hot.
Oh, but then look at this weather. This
is
let me tell
weird.
you,
This
global
is an
warming
anomaly.
is messing up our wedding goals
is,
and
it is.
visions. Because I was going to say it's going to be raining, but really it usually is like it's usually
It should
warm.
be dry. Yeah, it should be getting warm
but,
now.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you look at
yeah.
what it's been like, it's been raining.
Yeah.
Okay, so
brides are worried about that actually. Yeah, because if you're planning an outdoor wedding, this is not ideal. But yes, you need to think about the seasons. We're not seasonal in the sense that if you go to the racks, you'll find specific types of dresses during specific times of the year. But it does affect the way you dress. Do you want to wear sleeves? Do you want to wear a cape? Maybe you just want like this, you know, like really fitted strapless dress, and your wedding is in Limuru in July.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
yeah, we
So
don't want pneumonia.
yeah. So it has to, like, you have to think about the practical underpinnings behind the kind of dress that you're choosing.
Yeah. What about undergarments?
Yeah.
It's something that people, I don't know if they think about it first, but what tips do you have for finding the right undergarment for something that is, I mean, because your wedding dress has so many layers and needs this and pushing. Tips?
So, by the way, we now have undergarments as well for your wedding gown. Yay!
Really?
This is new. We actually have, like, they just got here, so we're trying to still sort out everything. But yes, we do have undergarments.
You know,
for
I'm
your
not getting
wedding dress.
married, but I want to see what you've got. I might just
come
like
and-
find a nice,
you know,
what are they called? Bustiers? Or what is it? Like a
corset.
corset.
A corset.
Right,
Yeah. So you don't need a corset. But anyway,
No, like in terms of like if I was wearing a sheer black. Anyway, we're now going into like styling things. But
so it's important, of course, to wear the right undergarments, because again, this dress, you're going to have so many pictures taken in this dress. And actually, one of the questions we usually ask our brides is if they have any problem areas or areas they're uncomfortable with.
Okay.
So we know most of us will have problems with our little belly, the
Yeah.
little pouch at the bottom, or your arms, or maybe you have a really full bust or a very small bust, things like those.
Yeah.
So it's good to choose, if you're very busty, for example, it's a very good idea to get a good bra. And even when you're choosing your dress style, if you're going for an off-shoulder dress and you're very, very busty, it's not giving you the kind of support that you need.
Yeah, or
the
you're
problems.
self-conscious about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that might pose a problem. And then corsets are good. They're not super comfortable, but if you want that super, super sleek look, then it's good to invest in a pair of Spanx or a good corset for the day, and that will give you more confidence. So there's sort of like there's a trade-off here. So you're not going to be like the usual. It's not the usual comfort that you have when you're wearing your jeans.
Yeah.
But you look amazing, and you look at those photos and be like, yeah, I'm glad I made that decision.
I couldn't breathe for
a
little while, but look at
you,
me. Hey,
know.
did you see those photos?
Yeah.
And when it comes to the gown itself, what are some of the ways in which women can make their dress stand out? And genuinely, I'm so excited we're having this conversation because a close friend of mine is getting married soon. Ooh. So I feel like I'm just jotting down notes.
Yes.
And I'm trying to be like, I know where to go, girl. So, so what makes a dress stand out? What are some of those elements that can elevate a wedding gown?
I think the very first one is your attitude.
Oh.
That is so important. Yeah. If you have a bad attitude and you wear an amazing dress, it kind of shows. Yeah. So the very first thing is you have to have a good attitude. You have to be happy with the dress that you've selected. Then the elements that make a gown stand out.
Or maybe I could even rephrase that question to ask, like, where are we at? Are people doing more traditional or modern? Are we doing lace? Are we doing pearls? Are we doing away with too much drama and going bows?
With those ones, I wouldn't say they make a gown stand out or don't stand out or not stand out, because these things are very, I feel like the details are personal. But right now we are definitely doing a lot of lace. For the past 3 years we've been doing a lot of lace. A lot of lace. I think since also you know, like, and we might talk about this also, but the trends are influenced by what's happening internationally as well. So there's been a lot of lace on the catwalks. There've been a lot of celebrities wearing lace as well. So that has sort of trickled down. It's the style of lace that keeps changing. So last year, for example, we were doing lots of geometric laces. This year we've been doing lots of floral laces. Then also there's something that we find ourselves doing a lot by default. We find ourselves doing also color. That makes a dress stand out. So whereas everyone is expecting you to do the regular ivory or white dress, the minute you add a touch of color to your dress, it's altogether different. And it doesn't have to be anything so crazy. It doesn't have to be a black dress. But yeah, those little touches help.
Have you designed a black dress?
Not yet. I've done something. I've done white and black, but not pure black. I look forward to doing a black dress.
Have you done like a full different color? Like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done a couple. We've done lots of blush and pink dresses. We've done red. We've done fuchsia. Yeah, we've done a few.
Played around with it.
We have. Yeah.
So when it comes to social media and celebrity influence, how has that impacted your business, and who are some of the key celebrities or key weddings that you feel changed how brides were looking at their wedding dresses?
I'd say especially the royal wedding, that was a big deal. In Kenya, I think we borrowed elements, not everything. I'd say the cathedral veils came back because of the royal wedding, definitely.
What is that?
Cathedral veils is like the super long, like 4-5 meter veil. Yeah, suddenly everyone is doing cathedral veils. Tiaras, remember those had gone out of fashion, they're back. And depending on who it is, the bigger the better. So that whole royal wedding fever has trickled down to us. In terms of like Meghan's dress, the really plain dress, that didn't quite catch on here. We do get a few brides who say they want like the really simple styles, and what we do these days is let them try on that style and see, and in most cases they'll be like, maybe not as good as it looks on Pinterest, I might want more. But also things like the off-shoulder style, that's really big right now. We did lots of those this year and towards the end of last year. And there are many others, but I'd say like the most recent one, the most prolific one would be the royal wedding.
Are there elements of say kitenge or the different African fabrics that play a role? Have you seen an increase in the number of people who want that Kenyan or local or African feel in their dress?
For some reason, I think the way that people view our brand, I don't think many people come to us for those dresses. In a year, we don't do more than 2 or 3. They're there, but Honestly, like this year, I think we've done one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what about accessories? And you've touched a little bit on tiaras and the veil. What are the other accessories that can really make, just elevate the entire look for the bride?
Okay. I think also because of my upbringing, I'm very, in terms of jewelry, I prefer to less is more.
Okay.
But I think if you invest in a good set of earrings that match with, if your dress has crystals, go for crystal earrings. If your dress is like a warm, yeah. If your dress is a warm color, then maybe more gold than silver, things like those. So a good set of earrings, definitely, if you wear earrings. Necklaces, with the necklines that we're doing now, there's a lot of these illusion necklines. So necklaces aren't good because then now they cover the details here. And then also I've found that lots of people are doing like the half up, half down hair. So also like necklaces, it gets messy. So I feel like necklaces are kind of out right now. A small bracelet if you must. Please don't wear a watch. You're not going anywhere on your wedding day. I've never understood this thing, and we get a lot of brides. I'm like, why? You're not going to tell the pastor like,
excuse me, stop with the preaching.
It's time to
We're
go.
Done. It's time.
Yeah. And then also there's really nice hair accessories, so you can go really small, or you can go really over the top if your dress is simple. Of course, the veil, and there's so many different types. It doesn't have to be a cathedral veil. There are short ones which are funky. There's fascinators.
With the mesh, and it's gorgeous.
There's so much you can do. So it's just balancing everything, balancing your entire look, like styling your look for your wedding day, making sure that it's not too much, so that people also concentrate on you and not just on all the little bits and pieces they have to look at.
Okay. All right. We've got to take a break. We'll be back with more from Ogake. Welcome back, ladies and gents. This show is geared towards the ladies on their big day, wedding gowns. And we've got designer extraordinaire Ogake, who designs the most beautiful luxury wedding gowns. And now I want to dive back into just all these questions that would help brides on their big day. And I wanted to know, is it important, do you think, to try and match your wedding dress to the groom's? Is it important that there ought to be some kind of
Synergy?
Synergy.
I think that's personal. I think that's personal. The good thing about matching with your groom and matching with your bridal party is that your pictures are really clean and cohesive. But it's your wedding day. Please just wear exactly what you want. I think. But yes, some kind of, you don't have to, if he's wearing gray, wear a gray dress. Yeah, but if, I think these things matter more with the bridal party. And I think start with the bride's dress and then everything else works from there.
Goes around, I
think.
it. I like that. I like that. What about shoes? Where do you start? And do you generally ask that your bride at some point comes in with the shoe to see how?
Yes, it's important. With a custom gown, the advantage is then the dress should be the perfect length for you. So you're not like carrying your dress throughout the wedding. So yes, we do recommend that you come for your fitting, at least your second fitting with your shoes, so that we get the perfect length. And especially because if your dress has details at the bottom, the detailing can't be done until we have the correct length. Also, we say please get like really comfortable shoes. It's a long day. There will be dancing, assuming it's an African wedding. And even if it's not, there will definitely be dancing. So wear a comfortable pair of shoes, maybe like a block heel or a wedge or a flat shoe. Although if you're wearing like a more fitted gown, a slight heel also helps to lift your bum. So there are things to think about. So wear the right shoes for your dress. I think these days people are not really doing necessarily the white or the ivory shoes. People are sort of playing a little bit. So maybe that's where now you start matching. So if your wedding theme is teal, then maybe you can wear teal shoes to match with that. Or if you're going more traditional, of course, the golds, the silvers, blush.
Have fun with it. So another trend I've noticed is that whereas before at weddings you'd have the bride wearing the same gown throughout, now it seems like there's gown number one, and then
Yeah.
into like church, it could be a different,
Yeah.
church is a different gown. Outside of church for wedding pictures is a different gown. And then evening it's a different gown. What tips would you have for brides when it comes to that, so that, if you can't afford 4 wedding dresses and spending like 1,000,000 shillings on that, how do you still offer yourself and give yourself that luxury of multiple gowns
Looks,
without
yeah.
having to break the bank?
So there's been a big trend also in the past couple of years of convertible dresses.
Okay.
So there are different elements of your dress which can change throughout the day. So first of all, when you're walking down the aisle, there's a veil.
Okay.
Once you remove that, that's a look on its own.
Yeah.
Then we have things like overskirts and detachable trains, detachable sleeves and straps. We have bodysuits which you can wear inside your dress, which can completely like cover the top part, so you can have like a sleeved look during the main wedding ceremony, and then remove that and have a strapless gown after.
Oh, wow.
There are like belts, accessories like belts, which you can also put on or remove to change your look slightly. You can add your kitenge belt to give it that African flavor. There are very many things which you can add or remove to your dress to give you 4 or 5 different looks in one. And we've done a few of those. There's actually a lady who did her rurasho and her wedding on the same day.
Oh.
And her dress converted almost like full 360, and you couldn't actually tell it was the same dress.
Oh.
Yeah,
Love to
yeah.
see that.
I'd really love to see the actual wedding photos,
Yeah.
but we took a few photos. So it had like detachable sleeves and a skirt in kitenge and a lace overlay which she wore now for the wedding ceremony. It was really cool.
Wow. So when it comes to the actual wedding day, what tips would you have for the bride? And I ask this because I remember so clearly, I remember so vividly, even though it was years ago, my aunt on her wedding day, when she got to the church, and I remember like opening the door, and she had her flowers in her lap, and when she lifted it, she was like, "Oh no, there had been like a stain." Like I think the flowers had like, it wasn't anything major, but I remember thinking, never put flowers on your dress. Never put flowers on your dress.
Yeah.
So what tips would you have for brides on that day in case something happens? What should they have close by that would help in case of any accidents?
Yeah. So there's something we use, and it's very good for cleaning: home dry cleaner and a bit of cotton wool.
Okay.
Perfect. Like it will.
Home dry cleaner.
Home dry cleaner.
Home
dry cleaning fluid. It's
Oh,
just
home
like,
dry cleaning fluid.
Yeah, it's this thing
okay.
you can find. You can find it in the supermarket.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not expensive.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing to have handy around the house.
Yeah.
Because you can just spot clean, and it has alcohol, it dries really quickly.
Oh,
so it's not like wiping with water where you have this big stain. And then if you have like a silk dress, it will leave
an even
that
bigger
mark.
stain.
Yeah. So home dry cleaning fluid is amazing to have. So in fact, like if you can just have like a little bottle titrated and a little bit of cotton wool.
Right.
That
in your
really
emergency
helps.
kit
Yes,
for that big day. And maybe needle and thread, would you say? Or in case of
definitely
any
needle and
liquids?
thread. I go to weddings sometimes and like, oh, there's a designer in the house. Auntie Nani's Nini, her button has come out, her zip is. Yeah, so definitely needle and thread, double-sided tape.
Oh, okay, to keep the
Yes,
ladies
together.
in check.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then sometimes also just even when things start to come apart, that can also help. It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what happens after the wedding? How do we go about cleaning the dresses? Are there any tips around that? And also storage as well.
So there's something we're also working on for aftercare for the dresses, which I guess we'll talk about when that comes out.
Yeah.
But definitely just take your dress to the dry cleaners.
Okay.
Yeah, because since you don't know what the cleaning instructions of these fabrics are, you won't get to know since you're not you didn't buy the dress from a factory.
Yeah.
So just send it to a recommended dry cleaner. We use Italat at Yaya Center, and so far we haven't had any problems. And then if you're having a custom dress made and you want your dress restored, take it to your designer and ask them if they can return any beads or any beadwork.
Oh, that's good.
They might or might not. I don't know, but yeah.
But that's really good. Then you can restore it to its original.
Yes.
Have you found in your experience that brides want to do something with their dress thereafter?
Yes.
Do they do that?
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions, and lots of people who are like, "Oh, can I bring back my dress for you to rent out or to sell?"
Oh.
Yeah, so apparently people are not so sentimental about their dresses anymore.
Let's make some money, recoup that money or something.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We've even had, somebody did something really, I think, really interesting and really noble. She turned her wedding gown into dresses, little dresses for preemie babies. Yeah, and I thought that was really... Yes, I thought that was really cool.
Oh my, bless her
God bless her wherever she knows herself. Yeah. So
Wow.
people do different things with their dresses. We don't have, as a company, we don't have a solution yet in terms of like renting dresses or selling them.
Yeah.
But what I've realized is people are more, we're not really clinging to the dresses as much.
But what you've also shared, I think, is so interesting, the idea of renting dresses. Do you think that that's a trend that could possibly pick up here? As a concept, I'm struggling to grasp it, really, like renting a wedding dress. But do you?
We've done a few, because when we were starting out with the ready-to-wear line, we tried doing a few rentals, but there are two things to think about. Number one, there's lots of people who are very suspicious about who wore this dress before, and maybe she has
and their energy.
Yes,
is it like
exactly.
Is everything okay?
And that somebody told me, and I had never thought about it before. I was like, oh, this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
So there's that, but then also, when you rent out a dress, because the fabrics are delicate and everything, after the first wear, it's not as vibrant as it was the first time.
Right.
So I don't know if it is something that will pick up, but
Okay.
there's a few people doing it.
Yeah. Do you do evening gowns?
Yeah, we do some.
Okay.
We do on request. We don't
Right.
shout about it,
Yeah.
but we do, especially for our brides. If we can do your wedding gown and your evening gown,
Right.
but also on request when it's not the busiest season of the year, we can do evening gowns as well.
I also saw right behind me that you have these beautiful robes too.
Yes.
And some have like bride.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. Perfect
Yeah.
for those photos. I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen them on Instagram,
Yeah.
the ones with like
Yeah.
bride and then bridesmaids all across. So how has this been for you trying to like shape your business to sort of meet, because I'm sure it just evolves and you're moving and growing to
Yeah.
accommodate your customers.
Yeah.
What has that journey been like for you?
It's been interesting, ups and downs. Some things we've tried which haven't really worked out. Ultimately, we're looking at creating an experience for bride where you walk in and you can get more or less everything you need for your big day. So you don't have to run around town looking for shoes, looking for accessories, looking for underwear, blah, blah, blah. So we want to make it like a very easy one-stop shop for our brides eventually.
Yeah.
With that, of course, we've tried out very many things which have picked up well, like the robes, for example. The accessories have been successful.
Yeah.
We have some nice jewelry as well. But other things didn't quite work out well. And I think that's important because with a business, you have to grow, you have to learn. So you have to experiment from time to time. So yeah, it's been good. And I think the advantage of getting into this is that we are now doing other things which are not as labor intensive, because the wedding gowns are very labor intensive. So actually getting into this was us looking for a way to provide other services or provide other products without, again, it being on us to make things and,
Yeah.
So it's been rewarding, I think,
Okay.
getting into the side businesses.
Yeah. And also just learning to pivot, like any business, you just have to like see, well, where are people going now? What are people looking for? And how do I accommodate their needs?
Exactly.
2020, what are the trends for the brides to be who are still like, wow, I've spent like 27 hours on Pinterest.
Yeah.
what trends do you think are worth looking into for for the coming year?
So definitely lace is not going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Although when I started out, there actually wasn't that much.
There wasn't
lace.
really?
No.
Really?
There was a
Okay.
lot of draped dresses, a lot of ruching going on and pleating.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I can see us going more into like minimalistic styles. Yeah, I can see that happening. I can also see there's this sleeve trend that's going on.
Okay.
Actually, like what you're wearing right now, this is coming into bridal a lot. Like
What?
these are awesome. Amazing fun sleeves.
Imagine.
Yeah, and then also different types of like even when we talk about lace, it's not just about the traditional laces. There's more like crocheted, more handmade looks, more organic, a more organic feel. Also, I am hoping that people will also invest a bit more in like embellishment because that's fun and that makes the difference between your dress and every other dress.
And so by embellishment, you mean things like pearls?
Yeah,
and like
detailing, crystals.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's been on the runways a lot,
Yeah.
like the very heavily embellished dresses. And we are hoping that also locally that people will invest in this.
Yeah.
I hope so. Because then it will give us a challenge also.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a fun one. It's a
Yeah, it
gorgeous
is.
one. I
It
can
is.
only imagine
Yeah.
those pictures.
Yeah.
Have you had a bride who's walked down the aisle in a suit?
No, we haven't.
That's
There was
interesting.
one, but she changed her mind midway. I don't know. Maybe she went and tried it on and felt it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But no, we haven't. We'd love to.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it would be,
Can you imagine
yeah.
like a suit and like
Actually with a long veil.
oh, a long
Yeah.
veil? I was
Yeah.
even thinking fascinator
Fascinator,
with the
yeah.
it would be so cool. But I
it
also
would.
understand if you've always imagined,
Yeah.
if you've always dreamt of a dress, then yeah.
Of course, yeah. No, we haven't yet.
Okay.
I hope we'll have one in 2020.
Yeah, here's to like more gorgeous pieces and
Yes.
experimental brides and
Yeah.
people who are bold
Yeah.
in their designs in 2020. Thank
Indeed.
you.
Thank you very much.
This has been so lovely, and I've got all my notes for my friends who are soon to be married. And if you just recently got engaged, I hope this show really helped you when it comes to finding the perfect gown for you. And if you're looking for a designer, search no more, ladies and gents. Ogake is here.
Yeah.
And you can find her on where can people find you?
Instagram.
Okay.
So all our social media pages have the same handle, which is Ogake Mosomi. Find us on Instagram. That's where we're most active. We tweet a bit. Facebook, we will respond.
Yeah.
And our email address info@ogakemosomi.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Info at
And our
Ogake.
website as well,
Yeah.
Ogake Mosomi.
Ogake Mosomi. info@ogakemosomi.com. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's show. For now, I'm just going to try and frolic in some of these like gowns. Are those the veils? Those are veils. Okay, I might just like, since we're here, I might as well play around. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.